What's going on, everybody? Chase with iDub Hockey, hanging out with Kyle Jacobs, who's the assistant brand manager of skates for Bauer Hockey. Kyle, we've got you a really exciting new Vapor Hyperlight line in front of us. There's so much new tech and spec we want to cover, but before we do that, how would you describe the fit profile of the Vapor line, and more importantly, the style of player, the style of skating stride it's really designed for?
Great to be here, Chase. Thanks for the wonderful intro. Yeah, so the biggest thing for, we talk about fit, we brought to the marketplace last year our three fit system. So if we're looking kind of year over year, our Hyperlight or a whole Vapor lineup that falls into that fit profile, they're going to line up exactly the same. So our fit one is going to be that traditional Vapor skate that we've known and come to love over the years. And then our fit two and fit three are going to have that slightly wider, more depth, and then continuing again to fit three, even wider and then even more deep. So again, just same fit family from year over year transition.
Perfect. So that fit one is a nice low profile fit. Fit two is pretty standard from top to bottom. But then for the wide footed, the tall and step players out there, you're going to want to head over to that fit three. Now, as we mentioned before, last year, this fit system allowed players to shop by their skating stride, their skating style, since they can find a fit in both the Vapor and Supreme families this year. So this year, exciting on the Vapor line, really fully being introduced with this fit system. So tell me about the style of player that it's really designed for this year.
Absolutely. So we'll get into the details of what makes this Hyperlight skate, the Hyperlight skate, and the rest of the family. But this is essentially for that quick and agile skater. So somebody who's looking for support up top for those quick movements on and off the ice, on the ice. Just looking to get around the defenseman. Like I said, very quick and agile, really shifty players out there.
Perfect. And that's opposite. I don't know if I'd say opposite, but complementary to the Supreme player that's more of that big, powerful stride, beat them with speed type of player. But as you alluded to, a lot of new technology and design implementations here to really accentuate that quickness, that agility. So, there's a lot going on here. So let's maybe start with the maximum places of flex that we're finding and how that benefits that quick stride.
Absolutely. So as we look on kind of growth from that 2X Pro line, the big focus areas for this particular year on Hyperlight is, we're going to look at more so the lower portion of that skate. We do have a new tongue and new facing, but the biggest impact, like we said, we're going to introduce some flex in that lower portion. So if you think of the way the skate wraps you now and that style of that agility player, there's a lot of weight shift from front to back. So we found that adding a bit of flex towards the heel portion of that skate actually allowed those players to get through those turns a little bit quicker, just have more responsiveness with this particular skate.
And it sounds like this, drastically different design of an outsole really plays into that. So walk me through the different materials you're using and how that really helps that forward flex and agility.
Absolutely. So our outsole, we're calling it the HyperFlex outsole. So it just falls in line with the family of the name. What the composition is, it's a composite front post. So you think of just below the toes there, those first few steps getting onto the front of that blade. We want a nice stiff material. That way that energy transfer is going to kick through and not slow someone down in the acceleration phase. Then as we work our way to the back, that heel portion, here's where we have that unique construction. It's a bit softer. It's a three-piece construction in the back, which is allowing for a bit more flex. Like we mentioned before, as that weight shifts, guys are turning or making those quick movements. The heel portion is going to have that flexibility in there. So if you were to hold it kind of in your hand there, it'd almost flop back and forth. But again, together as a unit, we're seeing that stiffer front post with a more flexible heel for that response coming out of those turns.
Well, speaking of working together, there's another piece of technology on here called the HyperFlex. So we've seen, your injected facings for quite some time. This is really the biggest change in, diverse design that we've seen really in that system. So, what is it? And then again, how does that really tie into, the outsole and the whole skating philosophy here?
You put it perfectly, Chase. It falls under the same name. So in theory, like I said, it's designed to work together. So what we've been able to do here with this HyperFlex facing is we've been able to increase the wrap of that skate while still maintaining our lateral stiffness. So that was one of the big things that we saw with the integrated injected facing, was that players really appreciated the lateral stiffness. So what we've done is we've taken that and evolved that to increase more wrap. So you'll notice when you're looking at the side profile of the skate that we actually have notches cut out of those top 4 eyelets. So as you think about it, when you're lacing your skate there, those teeth are allowed to come in and wrap the skate. One of the factors that you get with more wrap is actually less flex. So having those notches in there allows that injected facing to actually compress a little bit as you think about getting your knees over the front of your toes there. So not only are we increasing wrap, maintaining that lateral stiffness, but we're also adding flexibility. So we're not restricting that player to be able to get into a more powerful stride or get over their toes as they're used to.
Right, that really aggressive side to side, east to west style skating. But when I think of, again, that style of skating, I really think of lightweight, again, very agile, but you really need a really lightweight product to do that. So we're seeing a couple technologies integrated called Aerolite through the tongue and the liner. And so similar to how HyperFlex is 2 different units working together for the same goal, can you walk me through the 2 different sides of Aerolite and how that helps this HyperLite become the best vapor skate ever?
Absolutely. So Aerolite, we've used it in some other products that you may have seen it in protective over the years. What we're using here in skates is going to be in our ankle padding. And as you mentioned, the new tongue construction. So the ankle padding, again, helps us reduce that weight while still maintaining the comfort, getting your skates in there, getting them baked. But the big feature here is the tongue for sure. So it's a foam construction tongue. So it actually has no felt in there. It does still have the injected insert that we're known to have in our tongues there for that forward flexibility. But what we're getting with the Aerolite is just a much lighter tongue. And because we're foam now, we're foam encased, we can actually mold that tongue a bit nicer. So we've seen players, when we were testing this particular tongue, they see that wrap when they tie up that skate, they go, oh my gosh, I've never seen this much wrap before. So the flexibility of the foam and the contour ability, and then the overall lightweight package, like I said, just brings this HyperLite skate to life. In this particular skate, or this particular tongue, the Aerolite tongue is 15% lighter than that traditional felt. So it's kind of hard to characterize that, what does 15% feel like? But just seeing it statistically, we are significantly lighter than our previous felt constructions.
And so if you thought that was the biggest change in the HyperLite skate, you're in for a ride when we start heading below the boot. Now, that Odin project, really caused some waves throughout the industry, and it was ahead of its time. We've seen a lot of different specs taken over from that Odin skate, throughout the years. But now one of the most notable was that crazy holder on it that had, carbon fiber and composite. And so it's a really unique design. We're seeing that finally coming out to retail in the Carbon Light. So, walk me through the process of developing it from the Odin series to now eventually making it into the HyperLite retail product.
Absolutely. That was a fun project to work on for the team. I say for the team because that was just before my time, but very exciting to see, the groundwork that it laid for this Ellis Carbon Light runner. So what we did was essentially took the learnings from, what does that construction underneath do? How does it change the performance on ice with a stiffness or a softer post? And then obviously working with carbon fiber to help reduce a lot of that weight. When we talk about steel, just outside of the industry, steel is a heavy, it's very durable. It's a material that there's not a ton that you can do in terms of, innovation with steel. So we looked at those learnings from the Odin project and having that carbon fiber lower runner and holder and said, how do we marry these up? We got to make some innovation here and really push the boundaries. So we've launched, we've been able to bring to market this Carbon Light runner, which if you look at it, it has an upper portion of carbon and then a lower portion of steel. So if you think of the maintenance side of things, sharpening, profiling, all of that's going to play into effect on your steel side of things. But the carbon fiber helps us drastically reduce weight here, considered to call it our pulse family or traditional steel, about 35% weight reduction. And it also has a new geometry. So if you're looking at the side profile of this particular steel, it has a stabilizing spine, because what we get with carbon fiber is we actually get some torsional properties. So think about flexing. So that stabilizing spine runs along the toe to heel of that runner and helps us maintain our lateral stiffness. And then, of course, like I said, we've got our stainless steel on the lower portion, similar to how you would service it today with profiling and sharpening.
And, someone might be wondering, is this my only option on, maybe someone who's a little more traditional wants to go with that Pulse TI. So walk me through maybe the shopping process and how, you can basically purchase it with the Carbon Light, with the Pulse TI, or the Pulse as well. So can you give me a little bit of thought process there as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've been, we've been harping on the story for quite some time about the fit process, understanding how a skate should fit. And really what we've seen over the years is there hasn't been a ton of innovation below the boot, which kind of prompted, again, working off of Odin and bringing that Carbon Life to light. What we've been able to do here is say, okay, now we've got three great options for runners. We look at the Pulse. This one here is designed for a premium glide performance. So you can clip that into your Hyperlight skate. You can purchase that with the Pulse runner. You can purchase it with the Pulse TI runner, so that titanium coating. So that package essentially is a premium edge retention. And then you could also have the option of that Carbon Light runner. So we're looking for a very lightweight, it's an overall boot and steel combination with also a responsive kick. We mentioned that torsional property. This steel is going to have a bit more flex than it normally would if you're comparing it to steel. So we've got essentially high glide, high edge retention, or high performance with lightweight and responsive kick.
Awesome. Well, a lot that we covered there. And what's really cool that you guys have done in the past few years is really handing down some of those trickle down features into your secondary, third price point. So while this, especially with that Carbon Light runner, is truly elite, all the bells and whistles, truly high maximum performance, that 3X Pro is still a truly elite level skate as well, just at a little more affordable price and a little more traditional construction. So can you walk me through a couple key tack and spec points that really help make this skate stand out from the rest?
Absolutely. So this 3X Pro is going to complement our performance fit system. It does fall into that fit 1, 2, or 3 offering. So in terms of getting a fit, maybe not at that elite price point, but our second price point down. This particular skate is going to heavily complement that 3S Pro in the Supreme family. So having that HyperFlex facing on the Hyperlight skate actually allowed us to use the integrated injected facing from that 2X Pro and bring that down to our second price point. So we're getting some really good lateral stability with that new lacing system on our second price point, and it helps us elevate this value of a skate here with complementing that Supreme 3S Pro counterpart.
And just like that 3S Pro, slightly different material, but still a curved composite boot. And like I really mentioned before, still truly elite. It just doesn't have all the bells and whistles like the Hyperlight, but if you're looking for a slightly more traditional design, this is going to be right up your alley. Now, for the competitive hockey player who's typically on the rink maybe 2 or 3 times a week, they still want a lot of high performance for the price. So in this zone, you're looking at the 3X or the X 3.7. So walk me through these 2 price points and what make these some really standout features and options at this level.
Absolutely. So the big change, we'll start with the 3X here. The big change to this particular skate is we've changed the quarter package construction. So what we're getting here is we're actually getting a flex composite quarter designed for this particular player, like you mentioned, looking for a little bit more flexibility in the skate. That's going to make the skate a little bit easier to step into. One of the nice features of this 3X model is it still falls in line with our performance fit system. So offered in that fit 1, 2, and 3. So great fitting option if you're not looking for that elite top end skate. One of the other upgrades too is we've added a comfort pad to the back facing of the tongue. So this particular skate is designed again on value and comfort, getting the player out on the ice. They don't want to be thinking about their skates. We're going to get a good fit, high end performance, and get rolling out there too. So over the years, we've also designed our asymmetrical toe cap based off of some of our scan data. So analyzing, the front portion of the foot and how that plays into skate fitting. So we've added the asymmetrical toe cap to this skate as well. And then as we move down to the big thing we'd like to mention actually is the 3X Junior skate. So we have some junior specific design and development geared for this particular player. Again, maybe not that senior level in the 7 to 12 range. But our junior skates, they feature a slightly softer quarter package. So think of that as a digital comp quarter versus that flex comp quarter. And one of the big stories here is that motion flex. So we saw it with Supreme in our junior price point. We've brought that over to Vapor now to complement. So allowing that younger player to still lace up the skate, get the lateral support that they need, but flex the boot even more so than they normally would. Think about developing their stride. And then as we move into the 3.7, the big story here is our graphic application. We've got some really improved graphics. The skate is phenomenal looking. when you see it on the shelf or online, or just pictures of it here. And the secondary to that is the comfort. We said this is got to be a good looking skate. It's got to be a feel good skate as well. So we've updated our liner to complement both on the back end of the tongue and then just throughout. So some really good visuals here with that particular skate, the 3.7.
Yeah, that liner really pops. And just to bring us back to the 3X Junior skate, I think it's really cool that, you just aren't downsizing, the 3X skate, and you're really building in, junior specific specs that really help them get the most out of each stride. It's, it's like if a 50-pound player was trying to use an 80-pound stick or 80 flex stick, they're not going to be able to fully utilize all of the performance attributes. So I did just want to commend you guys on that, and it looks a really great. And then let's finish this off with a 3.5. Typically your rec league player, or maybe just someone getting new to hockey, or just wants something to skate on the pond with their kids with. So walk me through a couple key specs that we'll find here that make it great for that player.
For sure. So this particular skate, the X3.5, is built on our polycarb quarters. So those are generally the kind of a softer construction, very easy to step in and start skating. Like you mentioned, somebody who may not just, or maybe looking for a kind of a one-off, seasonal activity type deal. In this particular skate, really what we wanted to do, it's the updates over the X2.5. We wanted to just marry it into that Hyperlite family, just graphically speaking, of course. So we wanted to enrich some of those aspects. But essentially, this skate is designed for that rec level, either just getting into hockey or looking for something, like you said, out in the pond. It's very easy to skate on and kind of lace up and go.
Perfect, Kyle. Well, as always, thank you so much for sitting down with us today and walking us through this really exciting new Vapor Hyperlite line.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Chase.
Absolutely. And then for you guys at home, I want to check out this entire line from Power Hockey. Make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.